Welcome back to the Dynasty Arsenal podcast, episode 20, the Big 2-0. I am Sammy Stacks, joined, as always, by my good friend and co-host Tags, and we are in the full swing of Dynasty Startup season. And so on today's episode, we conducted a Dynasty Startup mock draft with some community members of ours, and we're going to talk about it, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think it's this is always a fun part of the off season. Startups are fun, and it's even more fun when you can get a group of people together, because mock drafting with the sleeper bots just doesn't hit the same way. And it's also people have different takes on player values. So having a group of people getting together, you can kind of see more of where players are, and gives you a little bit of a feeling of what it's going to be like doing an actual startup.
Yeah, absolutely. And we conducted this on the flockfantasy.com site, and on there you're able to actually draft the rookie picks. So no kickers, none of this tracking it on a separate website. We got the rookie picks right on there. You'll see the draft on the screen. We did 12 rounds, which is great. Actually, before we get into this, we're going to do our weekly trade corner. Tags and I both have a trade that we made this week. I haven't talked about mine. I haven't told Tags about mine yet. This is not a league that he's in. But RJ Harvey is a guy that I see as a sell on the market right now. I think he's a little overvalued. I sent RJ Harvey and I got Travis Etienne in the 309 is what I did this week.
That's fun. So are you banking on Etienne staying with the Jags?
I think that...
Or do you feel that his value is kind of agnostic of where he goes?
I don't think it's completely agnostic of where he goes, but I don't see a team putting him in a committee, at least not a strong one. Like, I think he's got like a 2/3 backfield share regardless of where he goes. I would hope that the Jags re-sign him. I think that it makes so much sense for them to do so. But I don't see him as one of these, like Breece Hall is a guy that I think could actually lose value based on where he goes. I think that re-signing with the Jets is still a possibility. Jets? I mean, he's being valued really high right now. People are like assuming that he's going to land in a good spot, and I think
there's so much talk about him re-signing with the Jets, and I'm like, no, let him free.
Yeah. Well, the talk all season, right, and like in the preseason as well, was Breece was saying in the media, I'm not their guy. They didn't draft me. Yada yada. But I'm a little worried about him. Obviously, it's a huge free agent running back class. RJ Harvey, the stats this year are not great. He was running below 4 yards per carry when J.K. Dobbins was above 5 behind the same offensive line. I think he's Sean Payton's future, not scat back, but the receiving role, right? And I think Sean Payton is going to want somebody else to come in and run between the tackles and that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to get out of my RJ Harvey shares, and I was happy to get out of one here.
Do you think he's going to get the split load that Kamara had back when the Saints had Kamara and Mark Ingram?
I don't think he's as good as Kamara. So even if that's the case,
I mean, who is?
The
fantasy football goat.
Well, yeah, I don't think even in that case, Kamara or Harvey has the capability to do nearly as much with that role as Kamara did.
Yeah, I think Harvey's kind of good though. Like the thing is, like,
the underlying numbers are bad.
Running through the tackles, not great. But neither is Kamara. Kamara's never been a 4+ yards per carry runner. He's always made his workload in the receiving, and that can obviously be valuable for fantasy football. I feel like once they get Harvey in space, he's very shifty. I feel like he always jukes his way out of 1 or 2 tackles and goes for extra yards whenever he has the ball.
Yeah, he's definitely good at the specific skill set that he has. My worry is more with the usage. And I just think that Etienne has a bigger workload wherever he ends up, whether that's with Jags or elsewhere. But what was
Etienne gets the receiving workload also.
Yeah, he has that all, the whole package, really. And I mean, RJ Harvey, I know that we sort of deal with running backs in like their rookie contract years as opposed to their actual age, but RJ Harvey is 25. Travis
He
Etienne
was
is
he was an
27.
old prospect coming
So
into this draft.
Etienne is needs an extension, right? And RJ Harvey is a second-year rookie, and they're 2 years apart.
But
So
that's just the kind of year of fantasy football we're playing, because we're seeing a lot of these running backs go back to college, taking their NIL money rather than jumping up to the pros. So I feel like
yeah,
we're going to keep seeing running backs that are just older and older when they declare.
the good ones will be the young ones, and that's. I mean, RJ Harvey was like a quarterback, I think, like for 2 years in college before he transitioned to running back. So
Was he really? He's kind of
maybe
small, though.
yeah, no, he is. I am 99% sure that's what I think I'm remembering that correctly. Somebody can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure he was a quarterback.
We'll get our producer
Which you're right
on
is,
it.
it's crazy for 5'9". Yeah, producer, could you check that for me?
Can you check that? Yeah.
What was the trade? What was the trade you made this week?
I got sent Jamar Chase. I had Jamar Chase, and I got sent an offer of JSN and Jalen Warren for Chase. And I think I sprained my thumb smashing that accept button so fast. It was one of those trades where you had to double take, because I'm like, why am I getting the plus on my side? Because personally,
It seems like market value has JSN over Jamar.
yeah, I've got JSN over Jamar in my rankings. So to get a nice little free Jalen Warren that I pick up along the way, yeah, I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, for me, I'm taking Chase ahead, but they're 1 and 2. And it's the same tier, and it's like they're within 3 picks in a startup.
I think,
you take the plus wherever you can get it there.
and we'll get into it when you go through this mock draft, because obviously Chase and JSN are basically right beside each other in startups. But in that case, like, JSN is having the same production, if not more, than Chase, with lesser quarterback play, and he's 3 years younger than Chase. So in Dynasty, I'm smashing that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, again, there's no point having a huge argument about it, because they are like right back to back. I'm just more confident the Bengals look like they did the past 2 years next year and beyond than I am with the Seahawks. But it's
I think if anything,
marginal.
the Seahawks are on the uptrend, right?
But
they could.
But JSN they had like the lowest passing numbers in the entire league, and JSN lived off of insane efficiency. Whereas like Joe Burrow will throw the ball almost 40 times a game next year.
So you're saying there's even more upside, because they could become more pass happy next year.
But he's not going to hold the same like 45% of the passing yardage if they increase it. Like there's no like that's just an insane projection to make.
But imagine.
Imagine, yeah, he's looking at like 30 points per game if Darnold's throwing for 250
Oh man,
yards.
to the moon, man. We've only scratched the surface of his production.
But
and then,
we can.
And then the other trade was I traded Freiermuth for a 212. Not as exciting.
Yeah, this one.
But
This
it's
one.
like,
I mean, free 212. If I saw a 212 sitting on the ground tags, I would pick it up.
yeah, and that team. So it is a heavy. I think it's a 2-point tight end premium league. So like tight ends are valued more, but he's like literally like my tight end 7 on that team. And
Well, also, it's like he is
don't-
the same as like 15 other guys you could get.
yeah.
So even just because he scores more doesn't mean
I think he will have more
yeah.
opportunities next year, just because I think they're going to cut Jonnu Smith. But still,
it's
like
so funny to me.
Darnell Washington has taken a huge step this year, so maybe he gets
Yeah.
more workload. And who knows what the new coaching staff is going to want.
It's so funny to me how much Arthur Smith affects the tight end position, like more than any other offensive coordinator in the entire league. It's like he brings Jonnu over. They have 3 tight ends. They're all useless.
Yep.
And then, yeah. Just, but I think we can get into the startup.
Let's do it.
So we did 12 rounds. We're probably going to get to half of it today because we want to have some in-depth conversations. And then we'll do the second half of the draft next week, maybe mixed in with something else. We'll have to see. But we basically told everybody it's pretty standard. It's a super flex. We told everybody to operate as if it was a 0.5 tight end premium in a PPR, so 1.5 points per tight end reception. And we did a third round reversal. So I know the third round reversal is something that has become a lot more popular.
Well, we'll
over
talk
the
about
past
it.
little while.
I have thoughts.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I know the Tags isn't a huge fan this year specifically. I don't know if I have a strong opinion, but we can get to it. But basically, we're gonna go through every round. We're gonna talk about the picks that we made. Tags was drafting from the 3 spot. I was at the 9, so we got both sides of the board here. And yeah, we'll go through the picks that we made, and then also anything that we found interesting in each round. So I can kick it off here. Round 1 went Josh Allen, Drake May, Jaden Daniels was Tag's pick at 3, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, JSN, so a run on wide receivers there. We had Bijan at 7, Lamar Jackson. I took Jahmyr Gibbs at the 109, Malik Neighbors, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts rounds out round 1. So, Tags, what was your thought process with Jaden Daniels at 103?
Yeah, I mean, the top 3 feel like a clear tier to me with Josh Allen, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. So I was honestly pretty happy just to pick whatever was left over of them. And I personally have Jaden Daniels as my second QB overall because 1, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Allen at this point.
Okay.
So I'm happy to get my QB2 overall rated at the 3rd pick. But honestly, any of those quarterbacks I'm happy with. It felt like there was a clear tier there before it dropped into the wide receivers and running backs being the best value off the board.
Yeah, I completely agree with the top 3 tier. I have those guys ranked completely differently. It's funny, though. I have it the exact same order that it went in the draft. So I would still be taking Josh Allen 101, Drake May 102, Jaden 103. I've been hearing a little bit of this Josh Allen Drake May debate at 101. It seems to be the big one right now. I don't know if you've noticed, people have sort of cooled on Jaden Daniels with a down year 2. But he was hurt so much that I still view him in the same bucket with these guys. The argument I see the most for May over Allen is the flexibility for your build. Whereas, like, if you take Drake May, then you can kind of go in whatever direction you want. If an upside shot like Ashton Genty, or if like the 101, or you want to be taking rookie picks, whatever value falls to you, you can kind of just take it because Drake May is so young. Whereas if you take Josh Allen, you're kind of setting yourself up to want to compete right away. What do you think about that? How much do you value that flexibility at the top of the draft when you have no idea how the rest of it will play out?
I value flexibility a ton in startups. So that's why I have Josh Allen as the 3rd in my QB rankings, because we haven't really seen a quarterback with the build and production of Allen. And so we don't know how that's going to age. It could, and he's going to be what? He's going to be 30 by the start of next season, right?
Yes. Yeah. The start of 2026, he will be 30.
So we could see his rushing production kind of take a step back as he gets into his 30s. And so I feel like it does put you on a little bit on a window crunch. You have a window of probably 3 years to capitalize on his peak production. And he could be a guy like Stafford who stays productive, but Stafford never had the rushing upside that Allen does. And so much of Allen's production is that rushing upside. So if that takes a step back, then like that could be a value drop pretty immensely within the first 2 to 3 years of having him. So taking a guy like Allen locks you into that build pretty quickly. And I don't like being forced into that build by the first pick of the draft.
I completely get it. And even if what you are suggesting could happen doesn't, let's say Josh Allen continues to be a top 3 quarterback in points per game until he's 36, right? You're still forced into that contending build regardless because we don't know that far ahead.
Yeah.
For me, I choose Allen because of how confident I am in that production. I don't have as many, even though your concern is slight. I don't really have any concern about it, honestly. I think that he's going to be fine. And he's been a top three quarterback in points per game for 6 straight years. And I value I have so much more confidence in that than I do in 1 year of Drake May. And so that's why I'm going Allen ahead. But these 3 guys are in one tier. I would have done the same thing as you at 103. And I think 103 is a really nice spot to pick this year. You're probably getting Jaden Daniels most times. I think most leagues would have him go third.
Darn.
But I love that.
Consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really nice spot to be, in my opinion.
The biggest thing with these picks is making sure you have a player that can be the 101 overall at their position. So I think combined with the youth, I love that all 3 of those quarterbacks have rushing upside. I just like the rushing upside better with May and Daniels to be long term compared to Allen, which who knows? Like we just don't. We've never seen a player like Allen, so we just don't know how that production is going to fall off and when.
At the 109, I went with Jahmyr Gibbs. I think I'm a lot happier and more open to start my startup with a running back than I have been historically.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, like Bijan and Gibbs both go in the first round, 107 and 109, and they are absolutely worth these selections. Puka Nacua was the only wide receiver to outproduce these guys in points per game. And the 3-year outlook is as solid as it gets, right? I think the days of running backs being more injury prone than wide receivers is completely gone. It's just not a thing anymore. The data backs that up. And if I hadn't have gone Jahmyr Gibbs here, I would have taken Hurts or Burrow. Those were the other 2 names I was looking at. But I think that in the past I've been hesitant to go running back early. It's always been you build around the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. And if there's an elite tight end in there, great. But you want to sort of wait on running back. But Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson are as solid of dynasty assets as the top 3 wide receivers, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's definitely been a shift the past year or so. And if you look at all your teams that won the ship the past 2 years, I bet you can see a common theme with them having a strong running back room, because running backs have kind of dominated the production the last few years. If you look at your overall scores for each year and sort it by flex, it's like running backs, tight ends, and then the wide receivers hit. So it's having these kind of players like Bijan or Gibbs. They're just huge difference makers that can score 50 points a week and just put their team on your back. And they're just so valuable. I personally, looking at this tier, something I found interesting was 104 to 109 feels like a clear tier to me. I probably would have gone Bijan at 104 over those 3 wide receivers. But I see like Puka, Chase, JSN, Bijan, Lamar, Gibbs. They're kind of like a pick your flavor situation, and all of them feel pretty like they all feel interchangeable. I like JSN over Puka and Chase just because of the age advantage. If you want to start with a quarterback, having one quarterback locked in, you can take Lamar there. It's just all these players seem like a huge tier that all feels the same to me.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. Except for me, it extends to the top. It goes all the way to the 111. And it was exactly how this draft went, except instead of Malik Neighbors, it would be Jalen Hurts for me, who went at the 112 anyways. I like pick 4, like the 3 wide receivers, Chase, JSN, Puka, the 2 running backs, Bijan and Gibbs, and then Lamar, Hurts, and Burrow. Those 11 for me are all in a tier. And I'm happy to start with any of them as my first player off the board. And in a 3rd round reversal, I probably want to take, like right now, if I'm in a startup and I'm picking my spot, I think right now I'm picking the 111. Because I don't see a huge difference in the first round value between that and the 104.
Yeah, and you still get one of Burrow or Hurts if Neighbors doesn't go at 110. So that
Exactly.
kind of locks you in as yeah. Neighbors is my guy out in this tier because I think with the injury concerns and the fact that he's gets injured quite a lot, I feel like there's a trend there that's a little bit concerning for me. So he's the odd guy out for me, but I could easily see that tier of 104 to 111. Speaking on third round reversal, the 112 got Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Patrick Mahomes. And that's just not fair. I think, okay, the origins of third round reversal were because there used to be 4 to 5 or 6 like elite quarterbacks and then nobody. There was a huge teardrop after those 5 to 6 elite guys. And now we're seeing these 2 running backs pop up in the elite tier. We're
And
seeing
I think that there were
a few
there
more
were
wide
running
receivers.
backs. I think there were running backs as valuable as Bijan and Gibbs, but people didn't look at them that way.
Yeah,
You know what I
because
mean?
running backs were
we've
they were the
adjusted.
win now because you had a 2-year window,
Yeah.
no matter if they
Yeah.
were a rookie or not.
Yeah, we've adjusted to having these guys pushed up higher, and I think that, I mean, years ago you would have like Caleb Williams in the first round. You would have these guys like I remember Trevor Lawrence after his second season was at like the 107 in startups. There was more projection being done as opposed to taking a really solid running back or a really solid wide receiver. These quarterbacks were getting pushed up. And yeah, we'll get into the how the third round reversal kind of shaped this. And I absolutely agree. You want to be at the back of the board if there's a third round reversal without a doubt.
Yeah, I've been the biggest third round reversal fan, but looking at the mocks this year, I'm just like, this is a clear advantage to be in the back, and we even saw it as early as people entering the draft. It was kind of a first come first serve with your pick slot. All of the back like 6 picks were taken before even the 101 was taken. The 101 was the very last pick claimed in the draft. So, and if you look at it, it's like Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Patrick Mahomes, or would you rather have Josh Allen, Tet McMillan, Rashee Rice?
I mean, I've never taken Tet McMillan that high. We can get to that, but
Yeah, but even then, like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's-
think the difference between Allen and Hurts is that wide.
I think that there is, like, I would rather obviously be in that top 3 tier. But then again, even if there's no third round reversal, I think I'm still putting myself at the back of the board because I get that higher pick in the second round.
Yeah,
And like you said, I don't think there's enough of a drop off from Allen May Daniels to Hurts Burrow to make that picking at the end of the second worth it. So
yeah, that's why you texted
Yeah.
me and you're like, I claimed the 109. I'm like, how dare you? That means I'm going to have to claim an earlier pick so we're not side by side just to make the discussion more engaging.
but I can get in if there's nothing else in the top 3 wide receivers are the top 3 wide receivers. I think we can get into the second round.
Yeah, let's hit it.
201, we had Amon-Ra, as we mentioned. Then back-to-back tight ends, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers went next. I took Jackson Dart at the 204. Then we had CeeDee Lamb off the board. Then the 101 in this year's rookie class, Justin Jefferson, Caleb Williams. The 102 goes at the 209. Tags takes Devon Achane at the 210. Then we have Drake London and Teteroa McMillan rounding out the second round. So really quickly, I can touch on Dart. He is my quarterback 7 overall. That's the value I took him at here. I like getting a quarterback through 2 rounds. I think I value that position even more here. I actually do have Devon Achane ranked 1 spot ahead of Dart in my rankings. I love the value you got at the 210, but going running back out the gate and leaving myself 2 rounds in with no quarterback, no wide receiver would be a little scary.
Tough spot.
It's a tough spot. So I took Dart. I also love the guy, and I'm a lot higher than consensus on him, so I felt it would be good to have a little conversation about him. He looked really good as a rookie. He looked like a competent quarterback. The rushing upside is immense. Justin Fields was the only quarterback to average more rushing yards per game in 2025. And John Harbaugh coming in gives me so much confidence that Jackson Dart will be a good quarterback in the NFL. Because that system, John Harbaugh and Todd Monken coming in, Todd Monken following Harbaugh to New York sort of gives me all the confidence in the world that he doesn't want a head coaching job anymore. Because he's gotten interviews, and I just love the solidity that this is going to provide for Dart. And I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be really good for a long time, and he's awesome for fantasy football. So he's a guy that I think it might take some adjustment from the community to push him into the first round of startups. But I think he could finish as a top 5 quarterback in 2026, and that would push him into that range.
Yeah, and he has the ability to with that rushing upside. So I love the 204 pick of him because there's so much room for him to grow in value. Because I could easily see next year where he's at the 10, 105, 106, that kind of range. And I also love it because a lot of times with the risk of taking a quarterback in a rookie draft is that the best quarterbacks are going to the worst situations because that's just how the NFL draft is laid out. All the teams picking in the top 10 picks who are able to take a quarterback are not good. Mm-hmm. But immediately, Dart has such a solid situation around him in terms of his coaching staff. It creates such a strong and like just a strong foundation for him to grow within.
It's stable. It's really stable. Like what you're going to get, and you don't have to be
most
worried
quarterbacks,
about. Like
most quarterbacks like that don't have a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward is getting a new head coach. Fernando Mendoza might have a first-time head coach. Like these young quarterbacks, like you said, it's often a terrible situation. And John Harbaugh is as solid as it gets. Like, and we already know that him and Todd Monken together can produce an elite offense with an elite rushing threat at the position.
Yeah, and we kind of already know how they're going to use Dart because Dart kind of slides into Lamar Jackson's role in that offense.
Yeah.
It's literally all that entire system just being moved over to the Ravens. So we know how they're going to be used.
Yeah. He's not the same style of runner, and I don't think Lamar's superpower is the way that he can transition from rusher to passer. Dart's not that level of talent, obviously, but they know how to design a quarterback run game. He's good at it, and I think that they're going to help protect him too. Like, I don't think they're going to rein him in the sense that his rushing decreases at all, but they're going to, teach him, and he's going to listen.
Teach him
in a way that he didn't listen today. But yeah, dude, get down, get out of bounds. You don't need that extra half a yard to get blown up. I just have that image of the Patriots game, the primetime game, embedded in my head of him getting blown up on the sideline.
Absolutely blasted.
Because he's trying to get the extra yard for a first down, and it's like 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't just get into 3rd and 1. It's fine. Like, he needs to learn that kind of stuff, and I think that he will.
And Lamar had the same problems his rookie season. He was taking so many unnecessary hits. So that's going to be the first thing Harbaugh touches on is like, hey, we're doing slides today. So
yeah, it's like the Joe Burrow. I don't know if you saw that, but Joe Burrow had to learn how to slide because he not that he didn't do it, he was just really bad at it.
Yeah,
Dart just needs to go to sliding camp.
Which sliding is a skill because you can tell when there's quarterbacks that are not good at it. Did you see Justin Herbert that first round of the playoffs who did the splits while sliding?
That was hilarious. So
I was like,
funny,
okay, you also need to go to sliding school.
It's the really big guys, maybe. Like, they have trouble getting down. Like, Herbert's so far from the ground.
Take him to baseball camp because that's where you're going to learn how to slide.
Ooh, that's what you need. They need, like, sliding gloves and sliding pants.
Yeah.
Dart just comes out week 1. He's wearing, like, the baseball pants on top of his pads.
Yeah. They're all dirtied because he was doing warm-ups on the baseball field next door.
Yeah. They have a bunch of, they have a little sandbox behind the end zone that he's practicing in.
Dude, yeah. So like a little pitcher's bullpen that he's just sliding in.
Yeah. You took Achane at the 210.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned I love the value. What were your thoughts on that?
He's just like the last legit difference maker I see before you get to a lot of the players that have question marks. And he's just his question mark obviously is the new coaching staff coming in and how they're going to use him. But I don't really have any concerns about it. He's just too good. They need to come in and build their offense around him. He's their best weapon they have. I I think we talked on the last podcast. He's kind of on my watch list. That's a player that might get traded. New coaching staff may come in and want to
Yeah.
just tear down all of it. And having a running back might be your first position where it's like, all right, if we can get him, flip him for an early second, that might be worth it to him. So he's on my watch list of a guy that might get traded. And if he gets traded, then honestly, I kind of feel even better rather than rolling with a new coaching staff and system. But either way, he's a legit difference maker at a position. Obviously has the ability to finish 101 overall at their position. And I'm not really concerned about the new coaching staff coming in because he's their best shot at them winning. So I like the value there.
Yeah. I'm not concerned at all about the new coaching staff. Obviously, Jeff Hafley is the new head coach, defensive guy. So we're gonna see who he brings in as the OC. I'm on the complete, I think there's a 1% chance he gets traded. That's just a difference of opinion we have there, which is absolutely fine. But either way, this Dolphins offense wasn't good the past 2 years, and he was awesome. So I'm not really worried. Maybe the run game isn't designed as well, and instead of 5.7 yards per attempt that he was at this year, he drops to 5 or 4.5, and he's still really good because he's a weapon. He's a weapon in the passing game. Any OC that's coming to Miami where they don't have a good quarterback and they have one wide receiver and he's always hurt, why would you do anything else besides design this offense around Devon Achane if you're trying to win? There's no reason to do anything else. And so, my concern is zero.
The other player I was debating on was Drake London here, who went the pick after me. Just because it feels nice having a solid wide receiver core locked in. But my thought process was Achane, his workload is so much in the passing game and the receiving game that I feel like his game's going to transition really well into late 20s, early 30s. And he's kind of has the advantage of you're getting a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2 plus a running back 2. So having that built into the one position is just so valuable.
The other thing I want to touch on in the second round here is the tight ends at the top of it.
Yeah, the Bowers versus
Trey McBride. Trey McBride goes at 202. Brock Bowers goes at 203. I think it's fine taking these guys here. I don't love this high of a price, but it solidifies a position that is historically hard to find production at. And if you're the type of person who, I feel like in every league, it's you either have a tight end or you don't. There isn't really much in the middle. And so I'm perfectly fine if you want to go tight end in the second round. I'm personally Bowers over McBride very slightly. They're back to back. It's not, maybe it's worth a conversation. Brissett was pacing for 700 pass attempts in his start. 700. That's absolutely insane. It's not sustainable whatsoever. And so McBride probably falls down to earth a little bit, no matter who the quarterback is.
Man, Mendoza's going to love Bowers.
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, he's going to love him. They need to fix the offensive line. But Bowers has I don't really care about the age that much with these two because, tight end historically, they play a little longer than wide receivers. Trey McBride is only 26 right now. But I prefer Bowers just because I think McBride falls down to earth a little bit this coming year. The main reason I don't like taking these guys this early is because I love a lot of the values later at tight end. We'll talk about who I took in the 4th round. But I like a lot of the late values. And so I'm fine punting this year, I think.
I think
if this is where they're going to go.
I think the middle section of this round was really interesting as well because a lot of these players, you're having to make your decision of, all right, am I contending or am I rebuilding with a lot of these picks in the second round? You see this whole stretch where it's CeeDee Lamb, the 101, Justin Jefferson, Caleb Williams. I think personally I'm taking Caleb Williams over all 4 of those guys. But if you're taking Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb, you're locked into a win now build. Those guys are turning 27 next year. And We have talked about this before. Wide receivers never gain value if they're 27 or older. They just don't. So you're locking yourself into a player that has zero chance of building value. There's nowhere for these guys to go up from value from this point on. So if you're taking these players in your second round, you're kind of stuck with your build. And I'm kind of avoiding JJ and CD Lamb because of that. I feel like it just locks you into a build way too early. And I think I'd rather have Drake London or Achan or Caleb Williams over both of those guys, just because it gives you so much more flexibility in your startup build.
I think Amon-Ra can sort of be lumped into this conversation as well. He's 26.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll turn 27 during next season. I am honestly fine with the Amon-Ra and the CD Lamb price, because looking at a 3-year window, obviously, yes, they're not going to gain tremendous value. Neither of these guys are going to end up in the first round of a startup again, right? But also, winning is important too. And I think that they both give you wide receiver 1 numbers for the next 3 years. So I'm fine. The Justin Jefferson one is the one I have a problem with, because I just don't think that he's guaranteed to be back to a high relevance in 2026.
Yeah. I mean, he's
It's
a
gonna
clear
be-
one left that doesn't have a QB.
Yeah, we have no
That's
idea what the
set.
Vikings quarterback situation is going to be. We know that it's not going to be good if it's JJ McCarthy. At least that's what we should project. We shouldn't project anything else. But I think I'm definitely taking the 101 and Caleb Williams over Jefferson. The 101, I'm perfectly fine with this price, by the way. Jeremiah Love as the running
Same.
back 3, it's okay. Like, I have him behind Achan, but they're in the same tier. But Jeremiah Love, he's all but guaranteed to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and he is as good of a running back prospect that we've seen. Like, he is in the Bijan, Genti, like Saquon, like he's in that tier
Yeah,
of
he's got
generational prospects.
everything we need, which is he's the most well-rounded running back I've seen, where his receiving upside is just as good as Bijan or Gibbs. So
Yeah.
I'm totally happy with the price. I went into this draft really interested to see where these first round picks went, just so we can kind of get a gauge on where the community kind of sees everything. I thought
Yeah,
the 102 at 209 was a lot.
Yeah,
Because you're
this
looking,
is I do have a bit of a problem with this one. I think it's obviously this is a draft where everybody's experimenting with things. It's the first startup mock I did, and I know that's probably the same for a lot of the people in this draft. So I'm not dragging anybody's decisions. But this is way too early for me, because this is Mendoza, or it's one of the 3 wide receivers that are currently sitting
the
in
best
that
of those
top
wide
tier.
receivers.
And I'm not taking any of those guys in the Caleb Williams, Jackson Dart tier for Mendoza. No shot.
Yeah, even the quarterbacks that
And-
come after, like
Yeah, I'd rather have.
Would you rather have
yeah,
Mendoza or Mahomes, Herbert, T-Law, Knicks? Like, no.
I'd rather have all of them over
And
them.
then if you go wide receiver with this pick, and say you take Tyson or Tate or Lemon, I don't think I'm taking those guys over Drake London or maybe Tet. Maybe.
I'm not taking them over. I'm not taking them over Pickens. I'm not taking them over Nico Collins right now.
Yeah.
Rashee Rice, even still with what's going on with him. So I think the 102 should be closer to where the rest of the top 5 picks went.
I
Obviously,
agree.
there's a chance, like, you could be banking on this pick gaining value, because let's say, like, Mekhi Lemon all of a sudden has this insane draft process, and he's going to be a top 10 pick, even though he's undersized. And we're like, this guy's nuts. He's going to be whatever. He's going to be insane. Maybe he deserves that come April. But I think, this pick might have come back to you at the 309. So, yeah, that was a little high for me. Other than that, I mean, I'm a little lower on Tet, but I don't think there's much else in the second round here to talk about.
Yeah, move on to the third.
So we did do a third round reversal. So the 301 pops back to the back end of the board, and that's where Mahomes went. Then it was rookie running backs, Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton. I took George Pickens at the 304. Then we had Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. At the 310, Bo Nix, James Cook, and Rashee Rice rounded out the third round. So we can start with
How
my
how devastated were you when Hampton
when I
got
got
sniped
Hampton
before?
sniped. I said this. I was in a chat with you and one other guy that was in the draft here, and you mentioned that I got sniped. And I was like, honestly, he probably saved me from myself because 3 rounds in, I love Hampton obviously, but you want to build a balanced team at the same time, and I would have had to take Hampton, like I would have had to, and
Yeah.
going running back, quarterback, running back out the
Rob,
gate. I mean,
Robbie's
this
been
was
listening
a
to the pod clearly.
Robbie knows. Robbie knew what he was doing with that pick. But yeah, it's a 3 wide receiver, 2 flex league. So going into the fourth round with no wide receivers, I might not have been able to take the guy I took in the fourth, who I love. So I went George Pickens. This is a weird one because like I talked to you during the season and heading towards the offseason that I'm not like supremely confident that they re-sign Pickens, even though it is absolutely what they should do.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones is just an idiot and he's a wild card and we have no idea what's going to happen. So this scares me a little bit because the situation is perfect. And the Steelers situation was obviously bad. His entire career up until this point. But do they pay 2 wide receivers and like do they go with the Bengals model? Like we've seen how bad the Bengals defense has been in part because they've paid so much money to the quarterback and top 2 wide receivers. Do the Cowboys want to do that? Do they franchise tag him and then there's a conflict where he doesn't want to play on the tag? I don't know. It's a little scary in the third round.
I'm pretty sure they re-sign him because having 2
They have to, they
legit
have to.
wide receivers makes that offense hum.
Like look at how good it was this year. Like they were kept in a lot of games. Obviously the defense was bad, but they fired Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
They really should. Like they so should. I can't. Nothing is ever 100% certain with Jerry Jones. He traded Micah Parsons. Like nothing is ever certain with this guy.
But then got Quinn and Williams, so
And-
maybe he cooked
He did end up cooking a little bit, honestly.
a little bit because it kind of did fix their defense. So
it did really help. Like their run game, their like run stopping was nuts. After that, but you took Bo Nix at the 310, pairing him with Jaden Daniels in your quarterback room. What's the thought process there?
yeah, so I knew the third round was going to be where a lot of these quarterbacks started flying off the board. And I saw Mahomes, Herbert, T-Law go right before. And Nix was the clear end of that tier break for me before it gets to like the Love and Purdy. He has a skill set we want to see. And I think maybe this is a hot take. I think Bo Nix has QB1 overall upside because of his rushing upside. And if they get some actual legit weapons in there that aren't Sutton and Franklin and Evan Ingram,
Yeah,
I think
little Jordan
I think
Humphrey.
he has the skill set to be a 101 quarterback. So I feel like there's so much room for him to grow on value. And I think we've had this conversation before. In startup drafts, I'm purely taking players who I think have the best shot at gaining value. I rarely lock myself into a win now build. That's just not how I like to operate. And Bo Nix was the best value on the board here that I could see that has the best shot at gaining value and jumping back into the second round, first round. And he was the last of that QB run. So I just wanted to lock in my second QB spot, have that position totally done. I feel incredibly happy with Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix locking down my quarterback room, and kind of frees me up to take best player available at the other positions and not have to stress about, am I going to miss out on a QB? And we'll see later on in this draft because our builds are very different. You waited for a QB2, and I'm curious to see once we get I'm sure at the end of this episode, we'll see how we're feeling about our team at that point in the draft.
Yeah.
Because spoiler alert, we're not going to talk about your QB2 until part 2 next week.
That's true. Yeah.
I generally prefer to lock in a quarterback, just get my quarterback room set before it gets to like the later tier players.
Yeah, I definitely could have taken a quarterback at the 304. I have a really big tier that I was picking out of, and George Pickens was at the top of it. and like you said, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, who all went in the third round. I also have Brock Purdy in that tier. He was nuts this year in the games that he played. He threw an insane amount of touchdowns. But Bo Nix is my top one there. And I think that
I personally just like the rushing upside that Nix adds that you don't get from Purdy.
Absolutely. He gives you that like a solid floor. He's averaging like 25 yards a game, about that, 22 this season. It's a nice little floor. He has a few rushing touchdowns in him as well. I don't think obviously we didn't talk about the ankle, the broken bone in the ankle. I don't think that there's any long-term concerns with that at all. Even though he's out for the playoffs.
He should be back by training camp. As someone who has horribly broken my ankle, I feel like he's going to be fine by training camp because it'll usually
you were also back by training camp, right?
Yeah, for sure. I also had millions and millions of dollars worth of doctors tending to me.
Yes.
So
there you go. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think Bo Nix, the quarterback one overall upside you're talking about, for me, I see that as like randomly one year this Broncos offense is the best in the league and he throws 40 touchdowns. I don't necessarily see the same consistent potential there, but I love the pick at the end of the third round here.
I mean, I was debating between Nix or Rashee Rice or Egbuka. And out of those three, like Rashee Rice has legal issues that we're not sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Egbuka
bonehead
had such a drop off the second half. Nix just felt like such a clear value and the easiest pick in the world.
It's very safe. We know that his job is secure.
For your top three picks in a startup, you need to have safety there. Like they need to be your foundation piece. And I'm taking this solid bet there rather than the guys with question marks.
It's funny, if you go to your league and you look at teams that are rebuilding and they didn't do it by choice out of the startup. If you go to the startup draft, you can like look at it on Sleeper. One of their top three picks would have been a complete whiff, like almost instantly. That's how it happens.
Yep.
It's you take Justin Fields at the 110 after his big year with the Bears, and then you've just sewered your next 3 years of contention because those first picks are so incredibly important. I thought it was funny that, we had the Hampton Genty bet and they go back to back here.
They go back to back. I love it.
At the top of the third round. It's almost like, and we aren't even a part of that. That was just the people giving us exactly what we needed to fuel this.
Which kind of feels, one, it means Genty has lost value compared to the startup because there was a clear gap between the 101 and 102 in that draft. Now they're just like, pick your flavor. I'm still Genty. You're obviously still Hampton. So I feel like this is going to be a little rivalry we're going to be taking into the season to see what pays off.
It's so funny because I had my running back rankings. I made a video last week and I'm like editing it and I'm listening to it obviously. And I'm like talking so much shit about Genty. And it's like, I don't even hate him. I like him. I think he's a good value.
I don't know, man. But something personal happened. What did Genty do to you? No. Did he tweet at you or something?
I like Ashton Genty. I think he's a really good value. I would have taken him at the back end of the second round. Like, that's where I have him valued. He's my 20th overall player. But it's because he's directly compared to Hampton, and I love Hampton so much that I always feel like I have to talk down on him when we're making the comparison.
Sammy hates this guy as a player and as a person.
God, yeah. But yeah, nothing really. Chris Olave with a hell of a rise to the 309 here.
Dude, yeah.
Good for him.
That was how do you feel about that? Do you feel it's too much, or because I mean, he's being taken over Rashee Rice, Egbuka.
He's more of a
bunch of guys we'll get into later.
I'm fine with him over Egbuka. He's more of like a late 4th round pick for me in my rankings. Like, I'd rather have, obviously, Bo Nix ahead of him, but a lot of the running backs that went after, like, I'd rather Bucky, I'd rather Travion, I'd rather James Cook, and I'd rather Jonathan Taylor. And they all went after him.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Tyler Shuck, it's weird. Like, obviously, he was great. He's going to be 26 going into next year. Funnily enough, so is his second-year quarterback, Tyler Shuck, is also going to be 26. I just don't. I'm not certain that he repeats, and it's a little rich for my blood.
I don't know. I feel like that Saints team was so depleted, and Shuck made him look good. It was clear. It was
did.
clear
He really did.
He elevated the offense, which is what you want from your quarterback. Is you want to see them make all the players around them better. And I don't think the Saints players were playing to what they actually are. I think Shuck just elevated that offense as a whole. I think we've talked. I think Shuck is locked in for their quarterback next year, and
100%, definitely next year.
As long as he plays decent and gets them to 6 or 7 wins, I don't think they'd move off him, because then they're already out of the pick range to get a quarterback in 2027.
Yeah. The other name here, quickly to touch on, Rashee Rice. I never know what to do with these guys. Like, he's just a bonehead, and he's gonna be a bonehead. And I know some people that, like, even like some of the experts on Flock Fantasy, like Bush from Fantasy Stock Exchange, he just nuked him in his rankings, because he's like, this guy might be out of the league in a year's time, because he just keeps on doing. Like, we have no idea the validity of anything or how it will play out. Him and Jordan Addison, just never let those two guys hang out, because bad things are going to happen. But yeah, the three, I mean, if he, based on his this legal issue value, this is an insane steal at the 312, in my opinion. Because I would have viewed him around a Amon-Ra, CD, like that range.
It wouldn't be an off season if we didn't have Rashee Rice in legal trouble. No. And this seems to just be a thing that's just going to happen every year. So if you want to deal with that as a dynasty owner, and also if this is valid, he's going to get suspended again. It might be an even longer
suspension. You had it the first time.
My brain.
He's a repeat offender now.
Yeah,
he's a repeat offender now. Like, they're not going to take that.
When they repeat like that, it just gets longer and longer. It's going to extend, and that cuts into his value. Because if you have a player that you can only start for 5 games a year, then like, his value is going to be nuked. So until he can actually get it together and like stop doing these things, I have 0 shares of Rashee Rice, and I'm kind of
that's wild, because he's like my of the valuable names. Like, I have Darren Waller on every team, obviously, but of the valuable names, Rashee Rice is like my most exposure. Him and Chase Brown.
I got 0, and I'm kind of okay with it. Yeah, like, he's great when he's in, but you're only going to get production for 4 to 5 games a year.
Like, right now, if you want to get out at this potential low point, I'm perfectly fine with it. It makes a lot of sense. I'm seeing it as don't buy, don't sell, just because I have so many shares already. I'm just kind of sitting with them. But we can move into the 4th round.
We gotta get moving, or else it's gonna be a 3-part episode.
Jonathan Taylor kicks it off. Then we have Travion Henderson, the rookie 103, Jordan Love, Emeka Egbuka, the 104, Brock Purdy, Bucky Irving. I took Colston Loveland at the 409, Luther Burden, the rookie 105, and Quinshon Judkins rounds out the 4th round tags. You took the rookie 103 at your 4th round pick. What was the thought process there?
Yeah, so given my build, I already have both quarterbacks locked in and Devon Achane. So at this point, I'm looking running back, wide receiver, tight end. A couple of the players on the board available at those spots are Egbuka, Bucky Irving, Loveland, Burden, I guess we'll put in there, Judkins. And then honestly, at this spot, this is like kind of a startup build decision. I was kind of debating on taking a Jordan Love or Purdy here, even though I already had 2 quarterbacks, because they're the best value. But I decided, for the sake of my build, to take the 103 because it gave me the most versatility, because that means I don't have to lock myself into a position. That 103 is likely either Mendoza or one of the top wide receivers. And even if it seems like there's going to be 3 legit wide receivers that we know of that are going to be like high 1st round picks. So I'm happy grabbing one of those, because those are pretty safe options. And I don't hate it as my wide receiver one. If I end up with Cardinal Tate or Jordan Tyson, I'm going to get one of those guys. So I just felt this pick gave me the most versatility to still be fluid and flexible with how the board drops. And I got this pick at almost a 2-round discount from the 102. So I felt the pendulum kind of swung the opposite way, where it felt like the rookie picks were starting to be a value again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it makes a lot of sense for the 103, 104, and 105 to go in this range because, like we said, there's sort of the second tier after Jeremiah Love is those 4 names. It's Mendoza and the 3 wide receivers. So there's a bit of a drop off we're seeing at the 106 onwards. And we saw that in this draft where there was another 2-round gap before the 106 went off the board. So it seems like the people in this draft were kind of privy to that, which is good to see. But yeah, I love the flexibility it provides. That pick will probably gain value. It's such a liquid asset. Like it will, you can move it for any position you want at any point during the offseason. People, like, there isn't a build that doesn't like acquiring rookie picks.
I was bummed that, and it's Jim picked before me, so he knew I was going to go Hendo.
You wanted Hendo?
I thought
you might have wanted Hendo.
I mean, I'm rocking the storm blue Hendo jersey right now.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
To rep the Pats on their playoff run. So I would have gone Henderson there if he was available, but obviously he got sniped. So that 103 gave me complete flexibility with my build.
Yeah.
And I love being flexible in a startup draft. My goal is to take the highest player, like value player available, because trades happen. And it even if I have 3 stud quarterbacks, I can flip one before the season starts, because that means someone is going to be deficient in that position later on by the time this draft ends. And you can kind of jump in and start dealing with players who didn't fill out those positions or didn't take that value on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. Best value is huge.
My startup strategy as a whole is just taking best value available and then figuring it out later.
At the 409, I took Colston Loveland. The steal of the draft, honestly, in my opinion. Colston Loveland has been on a rocket ship in my rankings the last little bit. 14.5 points per game. That's in just a PPR. Weeks 9 to 18. That matched every one of the top tier tight ends except for McBride, who just had an unreal season, right? It's a young ascending offense with an elite head coach and quarterback combo. He's a top 10 pick, handpicked by Ben Johnson, the first player he wanted to add in the draft on his new team. And yeah, I'm sky high on him. I think I mentioned last week, I think he's closer to Bowers and McBride than he is to Tyler Warren at this point. And so I love solidifying my tight end position here. And like I said, it's one of the reasons why I would wait a little bit on Bowers and McBride, because I think that Loveland is a really good value at the moment. I think it'd be good to super quick. Actually, no, we'll touch on the Bears options at the 4-5 turn once we get into the 5th round. Nothing else really jumps off the board to me as crazy in the 4th round.
Burden was pretty crazy to me.
You thought Burden was nuts. Yeah, so we can get into it. Adunze went at the 501. So I'll read the 5th round after this little conversation, but we had Loveland at the 409, Burden at the 410, and Adunze at the 501. This is the order I would take them in. I am Burden over Rome just because I think you're making a pretty decent bet with both of these guys. There's no guarantee. We talked about how Rome Odunze had the touchdowns at the beginning of the year and then didn't really do anything. He didn't do much as a rookie. Ben Johnson did not pick him. Luther Burden, he looks insane out there. Like, he's just, even in this past game where he wasn't as productive against the Rams, just the tackle breaking, he's so insane after the catch. Ben Johnson handpicked him to be in this offense. I know you think that this is way too soon. I think that the 410 is a tiny bit early, but I'm fine with him over Rome.
Yeah, I think I'm still high on Rome just because Rome had a really good start to the season. And then it came out that he had a stress fracture in his foot. So I'm kind of banking on his descent of production on his stress that stress fracture. So Burden's he just feels way too high for me, especially when we don't know what's going to happen with DJ Moore. Because I feel
Yeah,
like
I think
if DJ Moore resigns, then I'm just like, this feels
I
like an
can't imagine
awful
he's
value.
there.
I feel
I
like
can't imagine he's still there. And I think he
yeah,
wins out
at
even if he is.
at 410, I feel like we're banking on Luther Burden taking the step up to be the Bears wide receiver one, and I don't really like that gamble.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely get it. If you aren't a believer in that, then you definitely shouldn't take him this high. I think
Especially
that
if we compare them to other wide receivers on the board, because there's Higgins still available, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Zay Flowers.
yeah, I would take BTJ and Higgins ahead of him. But I'd rather have him over Lad and Zay, the rest of the guys that went in the 5th round. I think the reason I'm fine with this pick is because I don't think this is like a Lad McConkey bounces back bet or a like something like that. I think Luther Burden could be a top 3 wide receiver. I think he could be a 1,300, 1,400 yard guy. The talent is there. Can he put the rest of it together? I just want to bet on the Bears. I really do. They're just the best, most promising young offense in the league, and they have all the talent in the world. And so that's why I'm fine with this here. But it's a bet. That's what it is. And like you said, I think that you're valuing the safety of these top maybe 6 round picks, and Burden does not represent that.
Yeah, the main problem with them is that there is so much talent there. And I just
Yeah.
don't know that Burden can carve out a 1,300, 1,400 yard season when there's guys like Loveland and Odunze and possibly DJ Moore. If not, I'm sure they're going to draft another guy because they just love having 3 wide receiver options that are pretty solid. So I just don't know. My concern is that he doesn't have the ability to carve out 1,300 yards for himself, and he's just going to be stuck at that 1,000-yard range, which is fine for like a wide receiver too, but I just like the other options here better.
Yeah, and we can get into them. The 50, so the 501 was Rome Odunze. The 502, T. Higgins. Then we had Lad McConkey. I took Brian Thomas Jr. at the 504. Tyler Warren goes next. Then Zay Flowers, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Harold Fannin at the 509. You took your guy, Marvin Harrison Jr.
It was destined.
At the 510. It had to happen.
You even said in the chat, you're like, uh-oh, Marv is still there, and he's coming up.
Yeah.
There's 5 picks away.
You can't quit him. You just can't quit.
It had to happen.
And then Jared Goff at the 511 and Kyron Williams at the 512. So I'll touch on Brian Thomas quickly. It's kind of crazy to me that this is the price. I mean, like, what do we think is going to happen? Do we actually think that what happened in 2025 is the new normal? Because I am so far away from that being the case. I mean, I talked about Brian Thomas as a buy right now at this point in the offseason. Tags, there are, I believe, I hope I can quote this right, there are 4 wide receivers that have had 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns as a rookie. And it's Jamar Chase. I believe it's just Malik Neighbors or Justin Jefferson. I'm butchering this. This is terrible. But he's one of 4 like insanely elite options.
Fascinating analysis you had there.
That have done this. Here, you talk about my Brian Thomas Jr. pick while I pull this up.
It's weird because Brian Thomas is mentally on teams that I don't have Brian Thomas on. He is a buy because I'm like, yeah, his value is going to go back up. His value tanked this season. But then teams that I have Brian Thomas on, you don't feel good. So it's such a weird position. I think he's going to jump back up just because I think you have to be really good to, as a rookie, put up that level of production, especially with Mac Jones slinging you the ball. So
that's part of the concern. that's sort of part of the concern because a lot of the production at the end of last year did come with Mac Jones instead of Trevor Lawrence. And then Trevor Lawrence is back and all of a sudden this connection is off when he can funnel targets at Jacoby Myers and he's productive, or Parker Washington and he's productive. So I think that's where the concern lies for people. But here, I found it. 4 rookie wide receivers have had 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns since 1962. Okay? Randy Moss, Odell Beckham Jr., Jamar Chase, and Brian Thomas Jr. That's the list. And then, okay, you can say, okay, 10 touchdowns, that's a lot. Maybe that's an outlier season. Let's reduce that. Let's reduce it to 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. It adds Anquan Bolden, Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, and Malik Neighbors. So Brian Thomas would have to be like this, the outlier of all outliers. All of these guys are elite wide receivers, produced for fantasy, all of it. So he would have to be this insane outlier to not be an elite wide receiver. Obviously, more matters than just your rookie year stats. But, I mean, what are we doing with this guy who, this time last year, riddle me this, Tags. This time last year, Brian Thomas Jr. and Justin Jefferson were both going at the 1-2 turn of startups, right? How the heck after 2025 is Justin Jefferson 3 rounds ahead of Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah.
When he's 4 years older?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I get it that it's not just Jefferson's fault, but the situation is the same going into next year. That part doesn't make any sense to me.
I kind of hate that I was at the 103 because when I was looking at the board, I feel like it should be like Egbuka versus Brian Thomas Jr., right? I feel like that's
I'd rather
more,
have BTJ.
I feel like that's more of a valid argument than where Brian Thomas Jr. went. It feels wild that it was this much of a discount. So I love the value at 504. You have a very high upside team.
There's
so
a lot.
far.
A lot needs to go right, and we'll continue. That'll continue in our show next week.
You're either going you're either going undefeated into the playoffs, or you're like completely not even close to making the playoffs. There is no.
Here's what I'll say: I'm not trading my 2027 first on this team because
absolutely.
George Pickens ends up on like the frickin' I don't know. He's on like the Browns because the Cowboys didn't pay him. Colston Loveland falls on his face. Brian Thomas Jr. is the wide receiver 4 in Jacksonville.
Dart headbutted Scat on the way in and got out for the year with a concussion.
And now he has a concussion. Yeah, so a lot could go wrong here, but also the upside is huge.
Dude, what's even funnier, as a spoiler alert, tune in next week as we go into the second half, because it only gets even more unhinged on your team with your player picks.
I panicked in the 7th round, and we'll talk about what happened there. But you took Marv at the 5'10", who's worth a discussion as well. So I don't know what the hell what is going on with this guy.
So I was looking at it, and
you don't have a wide receiver up to this point.
I don't have a wide receiver. I mean, in theory, the 103 is my wide receiver one. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm playing it. But looking at the board, Burden, Udunze, Higgins, McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Zay Flowers, Marvin Harrison Jr., all those players are in a tier for me. So I'm taking the last player in that tier because after that it goes to Jameson Williams, who you love, but I'm not sold on him being my wide receiver too. AJ Brown, who is going to be 29 next year, and he
doesn't really match your build.
No, and he's also been incredibly inconsistent. So even if I was trying to win now, I don't know if I can trust AJ Brown to be AJ Brown.
You're hoping he gets traded, or the Eagles,
and then
figure it out.
After AJ Brown, there's Waddle, Devontae Smith, Hunter.
Gross.
So Marvin Harrison Jr. felt like the clear best player available out of that tier. And outside of that, I could have looked at, I don't know, Goff was on the board if I wanted to get spicy with my build and take another quarterback and try to flip him later. Kyron Williams, which I'm not big on. Christian McCaffrey would have locked me into win now, which my build doesn't really reflect that super well. And I felt like that made it way too limiting for my build to take CMC here. So Marvin Harrison Jr. just felt like the clear best player available on the board, and has the
Yeah.
best chance to gain value.
And you're still a believer. You can't quit the guy. Which is it's admirable.
Is it?
You're loyal. You're
At
loyal.
what point
And I
does
think
it go from admirable to just sad? Is it like
loyal
the
to
Kyle Pitts
loyal-
year 4? Because I'm also that.
loyal to a fault is something people say, and I don't know. I think that it's so weird. He's obviously really injured this year. I mean, I've heard some people say, in Marv versus Michael Wilson conversations, talk about how the injury sort of like Michael Wilson's production should have been Marv, but he was hurt
Yeah.
the back half of the year, and we will never know if he would have been incredibly elite with this Jacoby Brissett volume if he hadn't have been hurt. We won't know. He wasn't in the small sample that we have of him with Brissett. And the issue with me, like I just don't understand. Obviously, he had several good games this year. The consistency is so off, and it's so crazy to try and evaluate these guys that were just like nothing could go wrong as a prospect. Like, he was bust proof. It was like, no, this is like one of the best wide receiver prospects we have seen. And it's just been a disaster.
I've kind of been still, I guess, stuck on the fact that I think the problem with Marv is that it's his quarterback and the offensive coordinator. So Drew Brees broke this down really well as another short king. He made the comment that when you're that short as a quarterback, you just can't see the majority of the time where your wide receivers are.
Yeah.
So the offensive coordinator with the Saints, he would literally have to scheme players to be within a throwing window at a very specific time. And a lot of those players were crossing routes. Every now and then you
Michael
get a deep
Thomas?
shot when a route would open up, and it would create a visual lane where you can see his guy. But you have to scheme for that. You have to scheme for the fact that your quarterback is short and can't see. So,
He's 6 inches shorter than the offensive lineman. Like, it's
And that's also why McBride has just crushed, because a lot of those routes, he knows McBride's on a crossing route and he's going to be at this spot at this time. And he is my safety valve.
Even then, McBride was so much better once Kyler was out of there.
Yeah.
And
so
we saw that, like...
I'm still on the fence that I think the problem was the quarterback and offensive coordinator, because Marv should be winning on a lot of the intermediate routes and taking a lot of the stuff that McBride has been getting with a lot of the slants and getting yards after catch, because he's a big body wide receiver. So I'm banking on the fact that they're getting a new quarterback, or even if it's Brissett, I'm happy with Brissett because Brissett was balling out. And the new offensive coordinator being able to scheme, because they have to. You can't take a player with that high of draft capital and not get him going, or else the GM's going to be fired. You can't take that player there and then not have a plan
not
for
figure
them.
it out. Yeah, they need to figure it out. And what's your instant reaction if Kyler is back? If it comes out, they have a new coaching staff, right? We're about to get into free agency. A week before free agency, Kyler's our guy. We're not looking elsewhere at quarterback. What's the reaction?
Probably fetal position in my closet.
Because
I haven't heard from Tags in like 3 days. Can someone check in on him?
Because my opinion on this has honestly changed. I'm not, some prophet, but I am a lot less confident now that Kyler is going to be somewhere else than I was maybe 3 months ago when the pseudo benching or the shadow benching was happening. The options available are not very good. It's if you're not rolling with Kyler, you're switching to Mac Jones or Malik Willis or Jacoby Brissett, who, by the way, did Jacoby Brissett win a game this year? I'm pretty sure he won maybe one game. Like, he was great for fantasy. He was not good for this team. So you would have to pay Kyler to not play for you while also paying another quarterback. And I just don't know if they're going to do it.
I
And
see. I,
so,
s- I see like zero shot that Kyler's their quarterback next year.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I
Okay.
don't see where that's possible after the. Okay, everyone knows he was getting benched. Like it wasn't the injury thing. He got benched, and when you
It
get
could,
benched by
yeah, like it looks like that.
Brissett, I just don't see
Yeah.
how a coaching staff feels good going into him for the next year, and how Kyler feels good. I'm sure Kyler's like was upset by that.
Well, also like Jonathan Gannon and him had a really good relationship, apparently. Like they were really close, and I can't imagine let's say Mac Jones gets traded. Well, no, let's not do Mac Jones because that involves draft capital. Let's say it's Malik Willis, okay, which would be hilarious, by the way, to replace Kyler with Malik Willis. But for argument's sake, okay, Malik Willis gets what, 12, 15 million a year, like a little less than what Justin Fields got, maybe. Um, so Kyler's making like almost 50. So you're gonna pay $65 million for Malik Willis to be your quarterback instead of Kyler Murray. That's I just as a like from a team building perspective, that seems wild to me.
Yeah, I
I
mean
don't know if
Kyler would
they're
have to
gonna
get traded so that they can offload the contract.
they could cut him as well. They could just cut him. They would like either way they could save overall a tiny bit of money on the cap, but they'd still be paying Kyler to not be on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's wild. I'm hoping that he moves on. I'm just less confident now that it'll happen than I was before. The other thing I wanted to touch on in the 5th round here was the tight ends. I think maybe we'll stop at 5 rounds. We're at about our capacity here. We can start with the 6th round next week.
Yeah.
But the 2 tight ends here, Harold Fannin and Tyler Warren, go 5 picks apart, which I thought was very interesting. I like it, honestly. I think, obviously, what they offer is very different in terms of how they score fantasy points. But Harold Fannin, the big question was how translatable is this skill set as you're purely a receiver, big slot type of guy. And he was awesome with bottom 3 quarterback play in the league. Like, and it's not like Jerry Jeudy is a terrible wide receiver. Like, it's not like he was the only possible guy to throw to in this offense. He was just very good.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be their top receiving option next year because they have they have a lot of holes to fill on that team, and I don't think they can take a wide receiver there.
They could keep low moving cost Cardinal Tate. It's possible, but that wouldn't even
Ship him
worry
right
me,
down the
honestly.
road.
Like I think that to adding a wide receiver wouldn't scare me for Fannin. If anything, I think it helps open him up. The quarterback play is worrisome, but he was so good this year. And then also Stefanski, like new coaching staff, is always something that changes the math a little bit. But I think he's shown that he can do what he does best, what he did so well in college at the NFL level, and that's the biggest thing we needed to see, and we've seen it. And so I'm fine with him in the same tier as Tyler Warren.
Yeah, he's just a baller, man. And I have Fannin all over the place, and he won a lot of my team's championships this year as a rookie.
Yeah.
And I think his skill set just translates so well to the next level. So I'm a big fan of him. A big Fannin of him. I tried.
Oh my god. Ugh, jeez.
Anyways,
Gross.
moving
that's almost
on.
as bad as that's almost as bad as your Marv pick, honestly.
Oh god, it's just all downhill from here.
But you know what?
I think Warren at the 505 is a steal. But again, like I have Warren over Loveland. But I'm like, if I think
that's a perfect value for Warren.
That's where I start seeing Warren kind of creeping into my thoughts.
With Fannin, I think he maybe sort of provides a bit of a lesson going forward for me, looking at tight ends as rookies or in the rookie class. Fannin probably fell a little bit because he doesn't block. Maybe, right? Like he's purely a receiver. There's kind of a guy like that in this year's class in Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be drafting a hell of a lot of Eli Stowers, especially if he's like a 3rd round pick in the NFL and he drops to like the late 2nd, early 3rd in rookie drafts like Fannin did. Because like I don't really care if it's a question of if you're going to get on the field, because these elite athletes at the position, there's such mismatches when they do get on the field that the upside is tremendous. So Fannin, definitely a guy that I think is worthy of this pick and worthy of being in a tier with Tyler Warren, in my opinion. Nothing else really. I'm really happy with my start through 5 rounds. I really liked my 6th round pick as well, which we will get to next week. Make sure you tune in. And then it all fell apart for me. But I love the start.
Can you list your roster so far?
Yeah, so I took Jahmyr Gibbs at the 109, Jackson Dart at the 204, George Pickens at the 304. I grabbed my tight end, Colson Loveland, at the 409, and then Brian Thomas Jr. at the 504 as my wide receiver too. A ton of upside through 5 rounds here.
Yeah, and you also have like a player for every position, so now you're just kind of, it gives you a lot of flexibility in your build, knowing you have your tight end done, you have one of your quarterbacks done, and 2 of your wide receivers. My team is, I took Jaden Daniels at the 103, I took Devon Achane at 210, Bo Nix at 310, the 103 rookie at 403, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. at 510. I did have one thought on this 5th round, and obviously we'll get into it next episode because you'll see how your team pans out. My thought is I need to take my second quarterback by the 5th round because I feel like after Goff, it just kind of drops off quite a bit. There's still Stroud and there's still Darnold left, but I feel like the quarterback position gets pretty depleted by the 5th round.
I think it depends on, it absolutely does, and these guys always get pushed up. I think it's depending on how you want to build. Honestly, I ended up perfectly happy with what I did at the quarterback position. We'll talk full feelings on the draft, things we would have done differently once we get through it next episode. But I am fine with what I ended up doing. Mainly because I like the values that I got here instead of the quarterbacks. Like I don't want to fall into the taking one just to take one. You know? Like just to fill the position because it's empty and because you need 2 quarterbacks in Superflex. I ended up with 2 guys that I'm happy with as upside shots at that quarterback too. And so I think it's just preference of team build. If you don't want to take the risk, I mean, your Bo Nix pick makes all the sense in the world, right? And it's solidified and you don't have to worry about it at all for the next however many years, right? So it definitely does drop off. You're absolutely right after the 5th round here. But we will get to the 6th round and beyond next week. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope nobody is cheering on Tags' Pats with him because it's absolutely ridiculous that this is happening again. Of course Bo Nix gets hurt. Obviously. Of course CJ Stroud turns into freaking Nathan Peterman in the playoffs. like this is, it's absolutely ridiculous.
One of my best friends is a Bills fan, and he's like, dude, if you guys get to a Super Bowl with a quarterback that's not named Tom Brady before we get to one with Josh Allen,
well, you will.
Like,
is there any way Jarrett Stidham wins this? Like, there's no way.
Jarrett Stidham, the former Patriot.
Former Patriot, yeah, legend. You know what's funny? Jarrett Stidham is the only backup quarterback to not take a snap in the regular season in 2025. He was the only one. He was also the only one to not take a snap in 2024. So, like, yeah.
He's been waiting for 3 years for this. He's gonna ball out. It's gonna be Nick Foles all over again.
Yeah, people are talking about this. Nick Foles was actually good. Like Nick Foles was a good backup, and Jarrett Stidham is not that. Yeah. So they should sign Ryan Tannehill. That's what they should do. I think that's what I would do.
They signed Tom. There's a lot of memes of like them calling Tom Brady like, "Hey."
Oh, that's funny. That's really funny.
You're still interested?
They should put Fernando Mendoza in a Jarrett Stidham jersey.
You know what they need is the
give him a mask.
universal QB2, Jameis Winston.
Jameis, dude.
The air raid siren goes off. Jameis Winston parachutes out of the plane. We're so back.
Yeah. This should, I mean, honestly, I think it's better in the regular season because it's like entertainment value, where at this point it's like, well, you know what, it's fine because at least this game will be more entertaining. And Jameis will still lose this game. Like, Jameis is not winning this game for the Broncos, but he makes it a better watch. Like, I'm right now, like my girlfriend's asking me, can we go to like a late lunch on Sunday? Sure. I don't need to watch this thing. What am I watching this game for? I'll tune in for the NFC Championship at 6:30. But thank you everybody for watching. We will be back with part 2 next week. See you then.
Later.